From the UNC School of Journalism and Mass Communication, covering Carolina in HD, this is Carolina Week.
She powders her face, does her nails, and puts on a dress. Tonight's a special night. So tell me, where are you all going tonight?
Well, it's our 1-year anniversary, so I think we're going to Maggiano's.
And her date? You wouldn't expect.
Jeff is about 52.
We're calling this UNC student Chloe. Jeff is her sugar daddy. And why?
I guess because of financial reasons, definitely. I needed a lot of money for other expenses.
But she also gets
Outfits, shoes, clothing, jewelry, that kind of thing.
Chloe met Jeff on the site seekingarrangement.com, one of several websites now dedicated to helping older men and women find their younger matches. For Chloe, it was quite simple.
All you need is an email, and then once they verify you, you're ready to go.
And the simplicity of registering on sites like Seeking Arrangement has led a total of 482 UNC students to register. But to get money and gifts, what does Chloe have to give?
I never had to have sex, but I have had sex with my sugar daddies before.
Do you anticipate being with him after graduation?
After I graduate, I am probably not going to be in this area, so it's just not going to be convenient anymore.
But for now, Chloe is in the area, and Jeff has just arrived for their special night.
Okay, the topic is mullet.
UNC seniors and roommates Connie Rhodes and Julia Uribe are exercising their brains tonight, but not by doing homework. The two are approved for senior spring underloads, reduced course loads to fewer than 12 credit hours.
All of my other semesters at UNC have been pretty jam-packed with classes, so it's kind of nice to have a little break semester where you can kind of enjoy everything around you.
I took all of my really hard math classes last semester, and so I finished my major. And that was really hard, so then I really just wanted a break semester.
Rhodes wants to use her time to make the most of her last weeks in Chapel Hill.
I have just been looking for jobs after graduation and reading a lot and trying to find concerts or art museums to go to.
Uribe is taking the opposite approach, using her open weekdays to travel.
I just figured this is my last time in my life when I can really just take time off and go anywhere I want to go.
The Office of Academic Advising reports that in the College of Arts and Sciences alone, more than 900 seniors are approved for spring underloads. Kyle Conroy is using every free hour in his schedule to direct Company Carolina's production of Hairspray.
Getting to do it and having the space to has been very, very rewarding, considering the time here has been just mostly classes and getting things done, and now having that little chunk to do something I'm passionate about is nice.
With rehearsal schedules, he doesn't exactly feel like he's underloading.
I don't know if I could have done it had I not underloaded, because now I'm more busy than I've ever been.
So whether it's spending a night relaxing or following a passion, UNC seniors who are underloading have a little extra time to enjoy Carolina before time runs out. In Chapel Hill, I'm Gabriella Sorelli.
Meet Roxy. Roxy's the kind of dog that's used in a special prison program, and that program is working in more ways than one.
It feels good to be free.
After being in prison for nearly 6 years on weapons and drug charges, Danny Raleigh is making the most of a second chance.
I was incarcerated. I got in trouble and was looking at a long time.
Prison wasn't easy.
You could probably drop dead and they would walk right by you.
But he found happiness from an unlikely source.
Now, Chance was my little prize.
Raleigh trained Chance and more than 30 other dogs at the Forsyth Correctional Center.
Jump! Yes!
He was part of New Leash on Life, a 10-week adoption training program that partners shelter dogs with low to medium risk inmates.
Green bell. Yes. Well, I had to learn how to be gentle, be easy, change my voice at the right time, bond with the dog.
18 prisons across North Carolina are active in the program. Candy Jones helped bring it to Winston-Salem.
To take these basically unwanted creatures and to put them together and see them redeem each other. This is the most wonderful program.
The likelihood of a North Carolina prisoner being rearrested after release is 29%. For those completing the program, the rate is 5 times lower, only 6%. It's been 4 years since Raleigh got out.
It gave me back a life. I began to be able to look at myself in the mirror. I began to be able to have feelings for my fellow man.
He now has his own dog training business, and he works at the Forsyth Humane Society, the very place that provides dogs to the prison. It's been 5 years since Raleigh trained Chance.
I wonder if you're going to recognize him.
Who is that? Hey, baby. Hey, baby.
Even though they've spent years apart, there's still a bond.
And to say a prayer.
Oh, and just say your prayers. That's right.
This program has a huge effect on dogs as well. Over 2,100 dogs have completed the program with a 92% adoption rate.
It's winter in Chapel Hill, but this sunny day reminds Savannah Ellenberg of the summer she fell in love with Ben Alexander.
I've been told this is the kissing bench.
But these two lovebirds didn't meet on campus. Instead, they met on a dating app called Tinder. Now, using Tinder is easy. All you have to do is download the app, sync it to your Facebook profile, swipe left if you're not so interested, and right if you'd like to get to know him better. That sign means it's a match. Savannah and Ben matched in May 2014 and got engaged last summer, but the two say they found each other by chance.
He's lucky that I swiped him to the right when I saw his pictures because there were some questionable ones.
They were each other's first and only Tinder dates.
We actually told people that we just met through some mutual friends. I mean, it was probably a year at least we told that story.
Ben says at the time, meeting on Tinder seemed taboo. But Dr. Neil Thomas, who researches technology and relationships, says for some, Tinder is making a switch from a hookup app to a serious dating app.
We establish cultural codes about what's acceptable behavior on it. And as a result, there's a kind of, we negotiate a relationship with this technology that just sort of improves over time.
Not everyone will swipe the love of their life, but as for Savannah and Ben, their wedding is set for October 2016.
If you kiss on this bench, what will happen?
You get married?
Yes,
Okay.
you marry the person you kiss.
Well, we're already way ahead of that.
Yeah, we are.
But
you can still kiss me.
You guys have to do it.
okay.
In Chapel Hill, I'm Madison Cavalciri reporting.
For decades, LEGO designs have helped build imagination into reality. Here you can see cartoon characters like The Simpsons, Spock from Star Trek, and even Disney princesses become real. The Legos remain still, or with the help of an app like this, they can move. All the work that goes into building these designs is just plain fun for IT professional Dave Voltaggio.
Basically started getting into robotics, which is what I really enjoy doing. So I've built like robotic arms that I can wear and control and stuff.
Dr. White is the author of Why Normal Isn't Healthy. Dr. White says there are a lot of playtime benefits, and he should know. He dresses up like his alter ego, Dr. Yanko, in order to bring more fun into his workplace.
The idea of getting back in touch with the wonderful traits of the child is what I'd call as suspiciously healthy behavior.
Dr. White also says family members who have fun together have healthier family systems. Voltaggio and his cousin, Joe Evangelista, work on their LEGO designs together. Voltaggio says he enjoys the time he's spent with his cousin.
Being creative and building with things and coming up with a thought and then being able to put it out and actually have it.
This massive train design involves many moving parts, and they've spent hours designing it. For them, this means more time they've spent together having fun. In Chapel Hill, I'm Elise McLaughlin.
Finger pricks, insulin needles, and a pump, part of a regular day for Mark Baumgarten. He has type 1 diabetes. His body stopped producing insulin when he was 10 years old, so when his blood sugar level gets high, he uses the pump to inject insulin.
It's something you can get quite used to easily.
One researcher is trying to make Baumgarten's life just a little bit easier. Zhen Gu created what he calls a smart patch.
A smart insulin patch is a smart device which can release the insulin at the right time, especially once the blood sugar level goes high.
He says the patch would eliminate shots and needles for diabetes patients.
Diabetic patients need to monitor their blood sugar levels frequently, then perform multiple injections every day, which is quite painful.
The patch is about the size of this penny. It can be placed on your arm or on either side of your stomach. It's made with more than 100 microneedles. Each patch costs about $2 and lasts for 1 day. Baumgarten spends about $2,000 on his diabetes per year. Switching to the patch could cut that in half. But Baumgarten says he's hesitant to make a switch.
I'm not necessarily sure I would use it, just because I'm very accustomed to the pump.
He says the patch might be most helpful for children who don't know how to manage their diabetes or for those who don't like taking shots. It could be more than a year before the patch is ready for consumer use. In Raleigh, I'm Mackenzie Bennett reporting.
After a long day of classes, senior Ryan Griffin makes his way into his room, sets his backpack down, gets comfortable, and reaches for a familiar friend. That's right, Pokemon. The Nintendo staple has been a part of video gaming vernacular for almost 20 years. Griffin remembers the first time he played.
I remember my parents brought home this big plastic package with a Game Boy Color, Pokemon Blue, the guidebook, and a little book-light extension, and I was ecstatic.
It's a pretty simple game. You catch, befriend, and train powerful creatures known as Pokemon. And then you battle friends and rivals to find out who's the ultimate Pokemon master.
I wanna be the very best.
Pikachu and his buddies at the Pokemon Company make a staggering $1.5 billion a year.
Pikachu!
Just kept picking up the games, kept playing them. When I got to college, that's when a lot of people break out their old stuff and try to relive their childhoods.
2016 marks the 20th anniversary of the franchise. They're celebrating with giveaways, new games, even a Super Bowl commercial. Not only is it fun for gamers, there could be positive health effects too. Doctors from schools of medicine across the country have said video games can reduce chronic pain and anxiety. Griffin says no matter how old he is, Pokemon will always have a place in his heart.
Sure, it's marketed to kids, but you'll still always love it. We'll grow into our 90s remembering that Pokemon was there for us at age 5.
You've probably already seen the hashtag #OscarsSoWhite and heard about celebrities boycotting the awards ceremony. It's clear. People are angry at the Academy.
It's just so political, and that's just not what it's all about.
Faraz Karan is a UNC screenwriting student from Palestine who hopes to have a career in film.
It's like an entertainment thing. I just want to make people happy, make them smile, and it shouldn't be about where I'm from.
He says there aren't many successful Palestinian films or filmmakers in Hollywood. This lack of diversity is a reason for the bad buzz around the 2016 Oscars. Aspiring director Daniel Sofrito says he thinks the response has been a little dramatic.
The two Best Director winners have been Mexican, the last two, and it could be Mexican again this year for Iñárritu. So it's a bit overblown. It is somewhat of an issue, but I think there's been progress on it in Hollywood.
A recent study by the University of Southern California found that 73% of speaking roles in films were white. Non-whites bought almost half of all movie tickets. Kathy Perkins, a dramatic arts professor, says the issue has been addressed before, but there's still room to improve.
We are part of this world. You can't ignore us. 2040, we talk about the browning of America. And I think when you bring in diverse cultures, it enriches, it enriches us as Americans.
The lack of racial diversity in film extends to UNC's campus. In the dramatic arts and screenwriting programs, 141 students are white, while 16 are African American and 2 Asian.
I just want to get a chance. I don't want to be stopped before I even get that chance.
Karan says he'll continue to pursue his career despite obstacles in the entertainment industry. In Chapel Hill, I'm Haley Ray reporting.
The Ocracoke girls basketball team has come to Kitty Hawk for an early season tournament. For a team from a small, isolated island of fewer than 1,000 people, just being able to play is its own achievement. Senior captain, Josie Whitfield.
We have 12 girls on the team. There's only about 20 girls in high school.
The only way on or off Ocracoke Island is by ferry, which creates unique challenges for Coach Adam Burleson.
When we meet in the morning and talk about a game, we talk about
the wind, we talk about fog, we talk about any possible thing that could possibly imagine.
Including the ferry not running at the expected time, like this morning.
Well, it's about 9:30 when we find out they're not going to run the 11:30, so we instantly go into our backup plan.
Riding along with the team, we see things that aren't part of your typical bus trip. Even on this relatively calm crossing, spray covers the bus windows and waves lap onto the side of the ferry. Kitty Hawk is one of the closest high schools to Ocracoke, yet it still takes the team more than 6 hours to make today's round trip. That makes finding time for homework a challenge, but Whitfield and her teammates have their ways.
We use the ferry lounge a lot.
And being small and isolated has its advantages, says Star Junior Sydney Austin.
It definitely brings us closer together, unites us more as a family.
The Ocracoke Lady Dolphins have had remarkable success, making the state tournament each of the last 4 seasons.
You know, I think a lot of people underestimate us due to our size of school and how small we are, and we prove ourselves to them a lot of times, and they've been very surprised by us.
And even when, like tonight, the team loses, the challenge of just getting here keeps it all in perspective.
You can deal with these kind of things, you're going to be able to deal with whatever you get thrown at you in life later on when you become an adult. That's why we keep getting on the bus.
The team keeps getting on the bus and on the ferry. In Ocracoke, I'm Alistair Wilkins, reporting.
This is a 3D printer, more than 10 years in the making.
You have 3 things moving at the same time, allowing the 3-dimensional component of the tissue to be formed.
Dr. Anthony Atala is the director of the Wake Forest Institute for Regenerative Medicine. He says this machine can print living tissues, including muscle, bone, and cartilage.
This is actually a screen showing you what's actually happening at the printing level. So you can see the actual printing process going on the scaffold itself, and this is actually a piece of jawbone.
Instead of using ink, the printer spits out a special gel mixture consisting of cells and nutrients. The printed dots slowly dry to harden.
So you need very small nozzles, down to 1/80th the diameter of a hair.
One advancement with these printed structures are tiny channels that let oxygen reach the inner cells.
In a way, creating a highway, if you will, allowing the nutrition to get to the tissue itself.
So far, the tissues from this printer have only been tested in animals. Researchers found they became vascularized, meaning blood vessels successfully formed.
Part of our goal is to get these technologies to our wounded warriors.
Atala says this printing research is a step towards creating custom tissues to replace damaged body parts.
One of the major things that is frustrating is really to be able to be in an operating room and have to put a piece of plastic or metal when really you know that the best solution is to use the patient's own tissue.
One day, Atala says, using the patient's own cells to print full-size organs.
It's a Saturday night in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and on the street, Jason Dalton starts a shooting rampage that kills 6 and injures 2, all while driving his Uber. So you might wonder, how well can you really know your Uber driver? UNC senior Morgan Zaccardo told me her process in becoming an Uber driver wasn't very intense.
Their training, it's actually kind of funny, is like, make sure your car smells nice. Like sometimes you might want to put on a lot of cologne, and sometimes that's not, people don't like to smell strong cologne. Like that was the training.
But if the process takes only 2 days to complete, and the most they're worried about is how a driver smells, then how does safety really factor in? One senator wanted to do his part to answer that question.
There was a need for immediate regulation.
Senator Floyd McKissick sponsored Senate Bill 541, which requires insurance and background checks for Uber drivers in North Carolina. I sat down with McKissick to discuss the bill.
Do we need to protect the public from drivers that may have poor driving histories? Absolutely.
McKissick says this bill might not remove all concern, but it's a step in the right direction.
North Carolina is better off today than we were before because we have Uber legislation.
The senator says it is about creating a safer system for would-be passengers. In Chapel Hill, I'm Laura Fellwalk.
Throughout the day Tuesday, Margaret Spellings met with UNC students and faculty to hear more about what Carolina is doing to meet local and global challenges. And while some students were excited to even catch a glimpse of Spellings,
hey! Hello! Margaret Spellings has got to go!
Others would like to see her gone from the campus and presidency altogether. Protesters gathered outside Girard Hall during Spelling's closed-door meeting with UNC student leaders and demanded her resignation. And as Spelling's moved to the UNC Venture Lab to meet with student and faculty entrepreneurs, so did the protesters, who greeted her with chants and a cookie cake that read, "Go Home, Margaret."
This is going to be our public higher education system after Margaret Spellings is done with it.
Spelling says she's looking forward to working with the people and continuing to hear everyone's different point of view. For protesters who say NC deserves better, Spelling's remaining as system president might just be the way the cookie crumbles. In Chapel Hill, I'm Kaylee Veed reporting.
Former All-American Landon Turner is headed to the NFL Draft. Turner spent the last few months in California, working with elite trainers in order to impress professional scouts.
A speed coach and a strength coach, so it's just more specialized.
Turner was told he needs to intensify his agility as well as strength more than ever before in order to compete at the highest level.
My biggest thing is just constantly improving my body composition, getting lighter, getting stronger.
Turner's been training with his former roommate James Hurst, a lineman for the Baltimore Ravens. Despite all of his accomplishments, Turner still remains a humble man dedicated to his family.
It's just top down. I can't take any of that credit for myself. If I did, for me, what kind of man would I be? That's how I feel because I didn't do it by myself.
Turner comes from a football family, getting inspiration to play the sport from relatives such as his uncle, Jim, his cousin Phil, and his father West, who all played collegiate football at West Virginia. But Turner has another source of inspiration outside of the sport.
Oh my God, it's so heavy.
Turner's fiancée, Melanie Alvis, is his biggest fan.
I'm very proud of him. I mean, I tell him I'm proud of him every day. When he's having really hard times, especially at the combine when we are apart.
Alvis gave me some insight on the man behind the face mask.
He's a huge Dragon Ball Z fan, but at the same time, we're both total nerds.
Turner gave me an inside look at his favorite games, comics, and Star Wars characters. Though Turner himself won't admit it, his teammates speak very highly of his skill and say they look forward to his career in the NFL. From Chapel Hill, I'm Corey Smith reporting.
Both opponents and supporters agree HB 2 will affect North Carolina's economy. But how the law will impact it, well, that's still up for debate.
Well, we've already seen some indication that some businesses are choosing not to expand within the state of North Carolina.
And that's something UNC economics professor Rita Balaban says hurts our economic base.
These are white-collar jobs, high-paying jobs with the ability to bring a lot of high-earning income people.
The Charlotte Regional Visitor Center says 4 groups have already canceled doing business in the Queen City because of their opposition to HB 2. And there are 34 more groups that could follow suit. Rock legend Bruce Springsteen canceled a sold-out concert in Greensboro Sunday in protest. His band is speaking out too.
And hopefully, other people will rise up and join us. Why are we here?
Shane Thrapp organized a protest outside the state capitol Monday. He believes the bill will drain on talent in North Carolina.
Artists who push human equality, those artists are going to start leaving here in droves.
20 feet away, supporters of HB 2 have a different outlook.
The vast majority of our tax returns here in North Carolina, they're LLCs, they're S-Corps. Our thriving economy is built on the hard-working backs of small business owners. Folks like y'all.
Spokesperson for the organization Keep NC Safe and North Carolina Values Coalition, Cammie Mueller, says the only businesses that will be hurting are the companies boycotting North Carolina.
Anyone pulling out of North Carolina is doing so foolishly.
Balaban says HB 2 might not affect all small businesses like retailers or restaurants, but could affect growing corporations that need the help of big banks to get started. If those big banks are scrapping plans to set up shop or expand in North Carolina,
it's going to be hard for me to get, $500,000 loan, let's say, from some small community bank. So even at that scale.
Balaban says if the recent trend of businesses leaving and boycotting the state continues, it could spell big trouble.
The implications of this. I think it's long run you'd see more. I'm sure the governor will show we haven't seen any changes. Well, not yet.
Just yesterday, Deutsche Bank announced its freezing plans on creating 250 jobs at its Cary campus, all because of HB2.
About 120 square feet or so.
You've probably seen or heard of them before. Tiny homes are taking over, and people with One Local Initiative think they could make a big impact on mental health care.
Half of the challenges with people with mental illness, I think, can be resolved if they had a decent place to live.
That's Tava Mahadevan, director of UNC's Center for Excellence in Community Mental Health. Once homeless himself, he spent most of his life looking for ways to help people who suffer from mental illness and can't afford housing in Orange County.
Most of them get a Social Security check, which is about $721. You can't rent an apartment in Chapel Hill for under $800.
40% of North Carolina's homeless population is experiencing mental illness, and 75% of all homeless Americans are diagnosed with a mental illness.
The whole state, in fact, the whole country is struggling coming up with a solution for permanent supportive housing.
Mahadevan came up with the idea for a tiny home community with the help of former student Rebecca Sorensen, who oversees development at Penny Lane, a 40-acre therapeutic farm near Pittsburgh where workers will build 10 tiny homes this summer.
Kind of trying to leverage our university resources to study policies and procedures around tiny homes, in addition to their viability for community.
I met up with Sorensen at Penny Lane for a sneak peek at the farm's very first tiny home.
The bedroom can accommodate a full-size bed, and we'll have a...
Coming in at 336 square feet, each home will cost $250 a month. So far, Sorensen says she's been happy with the response.
But this little girl came in and she says, "Well, Dad, it's just all the space you need."
Mahadevan says it's more than just a place to live. It's a lifestyle.
It's also very empowering to people when they get to start to learn about, maybe I can garden, maybe I can do some of this, maybe I can take charge of my life.
Maybe bigger isn't always better. In Pittsburgh, I'm Caroline Ressler reporting.